Dr. Hana Kim was tired. For 6 months she had worked to decode the strange signals coming from deep space. As Earth's top language expert, everyone counted on her. Her small office at the Global Space Agency was filled with star charts and pages of notes. "I think I've got it," she said to herself. The signals weren't random. They were a language, complex and beautiful. Hana had figured out enough to know these aliens were part of something called the Galactic Confederation. They seemed advanced and peaceful. What she couldn't understand were their references to Earth as uninhabited. How could they not see the billions of humans living here? It was a sunny Tuesday when the massive ship appeared in Earth's orbit. No warning, no announcement. Just there, a structure nearly 20 kilometers long, shimmering like metal but somehow not solid. News channels worldwide broadcast the same images. People gathered in streets looking up. Some celebrated, some prayed. Most were simply afraid. At the emergency United Nations meeting, Hana tried to explain. They believe they're conducting a standard survey of an empty world. There's a cultural disconnect we need to address immediately. Before Earth could respond officially, small probe-like devices began descending through the atmosphere. Hundreds of them, spreading across the planet. The aliens described them as environmental assessment tools in their broadcasts. Commander June Park of the Space Defense Force watched from the military command center as the probes activated. "What are they doing?" he asked no one in particular. The answer came within hours. The probes were designed to analyze planetary conditions, but they were calibrated for uninhabited worlds. Their energy signatures disrupted Earth's delicate atmospheric balance. In Mumbai, hurricane-force winds tore through the city without warning. In Chicago, temperatures dropped 50 degrees in minutes. Tokyo experienced earthquakes where none had occurred before. June coordinated the military response, but what could they do? Earth's weapons barely scratched the probes. When they tried to communicate directly with the ship, the aliens seemed confused by their distress. "Why are the native fauna using communication devices?" one transmission asked. 3 days later, 7 million people were dead. Weather systems worldwide were in chaos. And finally, the Confederation ship sent a clear message. Assessment paused. Unexpected complications detected. The probes withdrew. The storms calmed. And humanity realized just how vulnerable they were. In the aftermath, Hana worked day and night to establish clearer communication. She learned the terrible truth. In the Confederation's classification system, Earth was simply Sol 3, a resource-rich planet in the unrestricted development zone. They had registered no significant technology signatures because their scans weren't designed to detect human civilization. To them, humans were just another animal species on a world ripe for exploration. It was an unfortunate ecological assessment error, the Confederation representative explained, when they finally established two-way communication. "We regret any disruption to the native species." President Jin addressed the world from the ruins of the UN building in New York. "We have received an invitation. The Confederation has offered to consider Earth for protected ecosystem status. They will allow one representative to present our case to their council." The debate over who to send lasted weeks. Diplomats argued they were best prepared. Military leaders insisted on sending someone who could assess defensive capabilities. Scientists believed one of their own could best communicate Earth's value. In the end, they chose Tai-Wu Lee, a history professor who specialized in colonialism and indigenous resistance movements. He wasn't the obvious choice, but as general, Song explained to the president, "We don't need someone who speaks their language. We need someone who understands their mindset and how to challenge it." 3 months after the disaster, Tai-Wu boarded the Confederation vessel. He carried very little, some clothes, personal items, and a small device containing images of Earth's history, culture, and the devastating aftermath of the assessment. Just before the ship departed, Hana gave him one final piece of advice. "Remember, they don't see us as equals. They see us as curiosities at best, resources at worst. You're not going as a diplomat. You're going as humanity's advocate. As Earth disappeared from view, Taewoo wondered if he would ever see his home again. The journey to the Galactic Council would take 3 weeks. 3 weeks to prepare for the most important speech in human history. Taewoo Lee had never left Earth before. Now he was on an alien ship traveling faster than light. The walls of his room changed colors based on his mood. The food came from machines that could make anything he described. But none of these wonders distracted him from his mission. 3 billion years of evolution led to this moment. He told his reflection in the strange metal that served as a mirror. One history professor representing an entire planet. Taewoo wasn't young anymore. At 52, his hair was more gray than black. His hands showed the lines of someone who had spent decades writing and teaching. He didn't look like a hero. But Earth needed his mind more than it needed a soldier's strength. On the 3rd day of the journey, Ambassador Nem came to visit. The alien was tall and blue-skinned, with 4 arms and eyes that changed color as they spoke. "I hope your accommodations are satisfactory," Nem said, bending slightly to enter the human-sized room. "I've studied your species extensively since our unfortunate incident. Fascinating biology. Very resilient for carbon-based life forms." Taewoo nodded politely. "Thank you for your hospitality. I wonder if I might ask some questions about the Council. I want to understand the process properly." Nem seemed pleased. "Of course, the application process for protected status is quite straightforward. We'll catalog your world's resources, assess the diversity of species, and determine your developmental category. Most likely you'll be classified as level 2 or perhaps early level 3. "And what do those classifications mean?" Taewoo asked. "Level 2 species have basic tool use and social structures but haven't developed space travel. Level 3 shows signs of advancing technology, but hasn't achieved sustainable ecosystem balance. Both require careful oversight to ensure they don't damage themselves or become threats to galactic harmony." Taewoo kept his face neutral despite his anger. "I see. And humans are considered, what exactly? The dominant species? Native fauna?" Nem made a gesture with their lower arms. "An interesting question. You're certainly the most advanced animals, on Sol 3. Your structures are quite impressive for beings at your stage. The Council will likely view you as the planet's keystone species, not as equals to yourselves." Nem laughed, a musical sound. "Oh, that would be impossible. The Confederation members have all achieved level 7 status minimum. True civilization requires at least 50,000 years of stable development, unified planetary governance, and complete ecosystem management. You're still fighting among yourselves over resources that could be synthesized with basic molecular manipulation." Each day, Taewoo met with Nem to learn more. Each night, he wrote in his journal, planning his approach. The Confederation wasn't evil, just arrogant. They genuinely believed they were helping developing worlds by bringing them under protection. "They see themselves as benevolent gardeners," he wrote, "and we are either pretty flowers to preserve or weeds to manage." In the ship's information center, Taewoo studied the 17 species that made up the Confederation. Most had joined as protectorates and slowly earned more rights over thousands of years. Only the founding 3 species had full voting powers on major decisions. 2 days before arrival, Nem brought Taewoo to the observation deck. Before them stretched a massive structure, the Council Station. It looked like a giant flower with 17 petals, each representing a member species. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Nem asked. "Built 8,000 years ago when the Confederation was formed. Your petition will be heard in the central chamber." "Petition," Taewoo repeated quietly. "Is that what we're doing? Petitioning?" "Of course, all new worlds must petition for status. The Council will decide what level of protection Earth requires." That night, Taewoo made his final decision. He would not follow the script. He would not beg for protection from those who had caused such destruction. He opened the small device he had brought from Earth and reviewed the images inside, not just of humanity's achievements, but of the devastation the probes had caused. 7 million dead, cities destroyed, children orphaned. "I am not going to petition," he whispered to himself. "I am going to accuse." On the final day before arrival, Taewoo asked Nem one last question. In your history, has any species ever rejected protected status? Nem's eyes shifted to a deep purple. Reject? Why would any rational beings reject the Confederation's guidance? It would be like refusing medicine when sick. Taewoo smiled. Then, I think tomorrow will be very educational for everyone. As the ship docked at the council station, Taewoo felt strangely calm. He wasn't a diplomat. He wasn't a soldier. He was a teacher. And tomorrow he would give the Galactic Confederation a history lesson they would never forget. Taewoo had never seen anything like the council chamber. The room was enormous, with ceilings so high he could barely see it. 17 massive sections ringed the circular space, each filled with different alien species. Some looked almost human. The council recognizes the representative from Sol 3, Vor announced, voice rumbling like distant thunder. You may approach the petitioner's platform. Taewoo walked forward, feeling the eyes of 1,000 aliens upon him. The platform raised, slightly as he stepped onto it, bringing him to a better viewing height. Before the representative speaks, Vor continued, the council will review the assessment of Sol 3. A holographic display appeared above the center of the chamber. Earth rotated slowly, beautiful, and blue. Sol 3. Third planet in a standard yellow. Star system. Rich biodiversity. Abundant water. Multiple climate zones suitable for development. Current status. Recovering from assessment incident. Images appeared of the storms, the earthquakes, the flooding. Clinical. Detached. No mention of the lives lost. A different alien spoke next, a being with pale skin and 6 eyes arranged in a circle around its head. The preliminary classification suggests a level 2 civilization with some level 3 characteristics. They have achieved limited space travel within their solar system, but have not established sustainable resource management. Their dominant species shows remarkable adaptability despite their technological limitations. Taewoo watched as they discussed Earth like it was an interesting science project. They debated water rights, mineral deposits, biodiversity preservation zones. They talked about moving some human populations to more suitable regions to allow for optimal development. Not once did anyone mention asking humans what they wanted. The assessment incident was unfortunate, said a floating jellyfish-like creature. But the data collected suggests minimal long-term impact on the planet's development trajectory. Minimal impact? Taewoo whispered to himself. 7 million dead was minimal? The question before us, High Counselor Vor continued, is whether Sol 3 qualifies for protected ecosystem status and what level of intervention would be appropriate. The resource potential is significant, but the administrative burden of managing a level 2 species must be considered. A small gray alien with large black eyes spoke next. I've reviewed the linguistic and cultural data. This species shows unusual aggression patterns and territorial behavior. I recommend limited contact protocols until further sociological assessment can be completed. For nearly an hour, Taewoo stood silently as they discussed Earth's fate. His hands gripped the edge of the platform so hard his knuckles turned white. Finally, High Counselor Vor turned his massive head toward Taewoo. The council now recognizes the Sol 3 representative. You may present your petition for protected status. Please keep your statement brief and clear. Taewoo took a deep breath. Everything had led to this moment. He had prepared a proper petition, carefully written to appeal to the council's sense of scientific curiosity about Earth. A diplomatic request for protection that might save his planet from further assessments. But looking at these beings discussing the death of millions as an incident, seeing them plan humanity's future without any consideration for human wishes or rights, he knew what he had to do. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the small device Dr. Kim had given him. With a simple gesture, he connected it to the chamber's display system. The image of Earth disappeared, replaced by photographs of human cities, art, technology, honorable representatives of the Galactic Confederation. Taewoo began, his voice steadier than he expected. I thank you for allowing me to speak. He paused, looking around the chamber at the gathered aliens. Some seemed curious. Most looked bored or impatient. None of them saw humans as equals. That was about to change. "I am not here to petition," Taewoo said clearly. "I am here to accuse." A murmur ran through the chamber. Nem made a distressed sound from the sidelines. High Counselor Vor's scales darkened in what might have been surprise. Taewoo took another deep breath and prepared to speak the words that would either save humanity or doom it completely. The council chamber fell silent at Taewoo's words. Even the floating gas beings seemed to pause their constant movement. He could feel Nem's distress from across the room, but he continued. "You invaded our home," Taewoo said, his voice carrying across the vast space. The translation systems rendered his words in 17 different languages simultaneously. The display above him changed to show Earth from space, then zoomed in on cities, farms, forests, places where people lived and worked. Homes. You entered our solar system without permission. You sent devices into our atmosphere without asking, and when millions of our people died because of your actions, you called it an unfortunate incident. High Counselor Vor's massive form shifted forward. "This is not the proper format for a petition. I am not petitioning," Taewoo interrupted, surprising even himself with his boldness. "I am telling you what happened, what you did." The display changed again, showing the aftermath of the disaster. Cities buried under sudden floods, buildings crushed by earthquakes, people searching through rubble for loved ones. 7 million human beings died. Children, parents, teachers, farmers, artists, all gone because you didn't bother to check if we were more than just animals on a resource planet. The jellyfish-like counselor floated forward. "Our scan showed no significant technology." "Did you look?" Taewoo demanded. "Did you really look?" The display shifted again, cycling through images of human achievements. The Great Wall of China, the pyramids, the International Space Station, libraries filled with books, hospitals with advanced medical equipment, children in classrooms. Humans have built civilizations for thousands of years. We have created art, music, literature. We have studied the stars and dreamed of meeting other intelligent life. We have fought wars and made peace. We have loved and mourned and hoped. Taewoo's voice grew stronger with each word. He was no longer afraid. He was speaking for everyone back home, for the living and the dead. You talk about us as a level 2 or level 3 species, as if we are children needing guidance. But I have studied your histories. Many of your own worlds took 10,000 years to achieve what humans have done in 2,000. Some took even longer. This caused another stir in the chamber. Several counselors consulted devices or whispered to aides. "We may not have your technology yet, but we are not primitive. We are not simple, we are human. And humanity does not accept invaders, no matter how advanced they claim to be." The display showed Earth's defenders now, soldiers, police, firefighters, medical workers, ordinary people helping others during the disaster. You speak of protected status as if it's a gift. It is not. It is control. It is taking our future from us. It is deciding our fate without our consent. Taewoo pulled up a new image. Children in a classroom looking up at the stars. These children have dreams. Dreams of discovering the universe, for themselves. Dreams of creating their own path. Not following one laid out by others who see them as lesser beings. He turned to face High Counselor Vor directly. "I ask you this, Counselor. If your world had been visited by a more advanced species when you were still developing, would you have accepted being classified as primitive? Would you have surrendered your right to choose your own destiny?" The massive reptilian scale shifted colors rapidly, a sign of strong emotion, Taewoo had learned. "The question is irrelevant," Vor finally replied. "The Confederation protocols are based on thousands of years of successful integration." "Successful for whom?" Taewoo asked. "For the integrators or the integrated?" He pressed a button on his device and new images appeared. Star charts showing the Confederation's expansion over thousands of years, with data compiled by Dr. Kim and her team. Every world you've protected has followed the same path. Resources. extracted, populations relocated, indigenous cultures preserved only as curiosities. 200 years after receiving protection, most worlds see their unique development paths disappear. They become copies of your cultures, your systems. Taewoo's voice softened, but remained firm. Earth is not yours to protect. It is ours to defend. We don't want your classification. We don't want your management. We don't want your pity. He displayed the final image, Earth from space, beautiful and blue. We want your respect. We want to be recognized as equals, not as subjects. We want to join the galactic community on our own terms, not yours. Taewoo looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes, optical sensors, or sensory organs of each council representative. You invaded our home. You caused immense suffering, and now you offer us protection from yourselves. I reject your offer. I reject your classification. And I reject the premise that you have any right to decide Earth's future. The silence that followed was absolute. In all its history, the Galactic Confederation had never been addressed this way by a developing species. No one seemed to know what to do next. Finally, High Counselor Vor spoke, his voice quieter than before. What exactly are you proposing, representative of Earth? Taewoo smiled. They were listening at last. The council chamber remained silent after Taewoo's question. The massive reptilian High Counselor Vor's scales shifted through colors, purple, green, blue, a sign of deep thought or perhaps confusion. In my 400 cycles serving this council, Vor finally said, I have never been addressed in such a manner by a petitioning species. Nem moved forward quickly, forearms gesturing in what seemed like apology. High Counselor, please excuse the representative's outburst. Humans are known for emotional responses. If I may suggest a recess to allow the representative to compose. A proper petition? No. Taewoo said firmly. I am not having an outburst. I am making a statement on behalf of Earth. He turned to face the full council again. Perhaps this is the problem. You are so used to species coming to you in fear or desperation that you've forgotten what it means to meet equals. You've forgotten your own history. With another command to his device, he displayed information from the Confederation's own historical archives. Before the Confederation, there was the Alliance of Free Worlds, equal partners in exploration and trade. What happened to those principles? The six-eyed counselor leaned forward. You've studied our history. Of course, Taewoo replied, just as you should have studied ours before sending probes into our atmosphere. A new alien spoke, one from a section Taewoo hadn't noticed before. It looked almost plant-like with green skin and flower-like growths where a human would have hair. The human makes an interesting point, Counselor Vor. Our first contact protocols do require cultural assessment before environmental sampling. These were clearly bypassed. Vor's scales darkened. An oversight in an unrestricted zone. No zone is unrestricted if it contains intelligent life, the plant being continued. Our founding charter is quite clear on this point. Seeing a potential ally, Taewoo pressed forward. I propose an alternative to your protected status. Earth will not submit to being classified or managed. Instead, we offer a mutual defense and scientific exchange treaty. This caused an even greater stir in the chamber. Such arrangements were typically reserved for civilizations considered equals. Impossible, said the jellyfish counselor. Your technology level is insufficient. Technology is not the only measure of a civilization, Taewoo countered. Your own ethical guidelines say this. We may not have your ships or your energy systems, but we have something you need. And what might that be? High Counselor Vor asked, skepticism clear in his voice. A mirror, Taewoo said simply. A perspective you've lost. The ability to see yourselves as others see you. He activated his device one final time. The display showed not images of Earth, but records compiled by Dr. Kim and her team. Detailed analysis of the Confederation's violations of their own protocols regarding first contact, ethical treatment of sentient species, and the legal principles of their founding charter. We may be new to the galactic community, but we understand law, ethics, and justice. Your actions toward Earth violated all three. If Earth accepts protected status, these violations will be forgotten. If we establish a treaty of equals, these violations will be addressed and corrected. The chamber erupted in discussion. Species representatives turned to their aides, consulted devices, communicated in ways Taewoo couldn't even perceive. After several minutes, High Counselor Vor raised a massive clawed hand for silence. "You are proposing blackmail, human." I'm proposing accountability," Taewoo corrected. "And growth. You claim to be advanced beyond us, yet you repeat the same patterns of colonial powers throughout history. True advancement comes from recognizing mistakes and learning from them." The plant being made a sound like leaves rustling. "I support hearing the humans' proposal in full. The Confederation has become rigid in recent millennia. Perhaps this is an opportunity for reflection." Several other counselors indicated agreement. Vor's scales shifted rapidly through colors before settling on a deep blue. "Very well. The Council will hear Earth's proposal for a treaty between equals. But be warned, human. If your terms are unreasonable, we will dismiss them entirely." Taewoo nodded. "That is fair. All we ask is the same fairness in return." 6 months later, Taewoo stood in the same chamber, watching as representatives from Mayar, all 17 Confederation species, signed the Sol Accords. The document established Earth as the first non-integrated allied civilization in Confederation history, neither a member nor a protectorate, but an independent ally with its own path of development. As he prepared to return home, Neem approached him. The alien seemed different now, more respectful in posture and tone. "You have changed things," Nem said. "Many older species are uncomfortable with the precedent." "Change is often uncomfortable," Taewoo replied, "but necessary." "What will Earth do now?" Nem asked. "Your people have much to learn about the galaxy." Taewoo smiled. "And the galaxy has much to learn about humans. We'll teach each other." As the ship carrying him home prepared to depart, Taewoo looked out at the stars. The day humans declared "you invaded our home" had become the day a young species taught an ancient confederation how to remember its founding principles. The universe suddenly seemed much bigger and much more hopeful than before.